everyone. Greetings and happy Women's History Month. To our incredible President Joe Biden, who of course we all know as a tireless fighter for the safety and well-being of women, to our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who is a long-standing, lifelong champion for women's health and women's health research, to the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff, who's been a powerful advocate for gender equity, and to the members of our administration and all the extraordinary leaders, and I'm going to come to Maria later. It is an honor to be with all of you. So this month and every month, we honor the women who shaped our nation and our world through their vision, courage, determination, and incredible skill, and upon whose broad shoulders we all stand. So, as many of you know, my mother was a scientist, and when she began her career, only 7% of science and engineering PhD graduates were women. And even fewer, of course, were women of color. My mother had two goals in her life: to raise her two daughters, my sister Maya and me, and to end breast cancer. And because of the fact that our mother never asked anyone permission to pursue her dreams, within one generation, I stand before you as the first woman vice president of the United States. Thank you. Thank you. And as vice president, I have traveled to 20 countries in every hemisphere in the world. And I believe the measure of the strength of a democracy is measured based on the standing of its women. President Joe Biden and I then have been very intentional, and he's been an extraordinary leader of our country, in ensuring that we do all that we can to lift up the status of the women of our nation, including their economic status, understanding, of course, that when you lift the economic status of women, families benefit, communities benefit, and all of society benefits. And so with that knowledge, we have taken on issues like student loan debt, understanding women carry nearly 2/3 of all student loan debt, 2/3. And we have canceled nearly $138 billion in student loan debt for almost 4 million Americans and counting, an average of more than $30,000 per person, and for public servants, including our teachers, of whom more than 70% are women. And 1/4 of this stage. And for those who are in public service, like our teachers, we have forgiven an average of over $60,000 in student loan debt. To lift up the economic status of women, we have also invested in women entrepreneurs and small business owners. Across our nation, millions of women want to start or grow a business, but don't necessarily have access to the capital that allows them to do that. So building on work that I did with many of you in the United States Senate and under the leadership of our president, we have now invested billions of dollars to expand access to capital for women entrepreneurs. To lift up the status of women, we have lowered the cost of health care, in particular the cost of insulin for our seniors. What many of the leaders here know is that 1/5 of women over the age of 65 have diabetes, and far too many have had to make the choice between either being able to afford to fill their prescription or fill their refrigerator. We also know seniors who are women are 80% more likely to live in poverty. So the President and I and our administration capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month. But even as we lift up the women and all people of our nation, there are those who are intent on dragging us backward. At this moment, in states across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on attack against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights, including the right of women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do. Today in America, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age live in a state with an abortion ban. Since Roe was overturned, I have met women who have had miscarriages in toilets because they were refused care. Women who went to an emergency room to receive care and were rejected because the healthcare providers there thought they would be sued and potentially sent to jail if they administered care. And it was only when she developed sepsis that she received care. Just last week, I visited a clinic in Minnesota where I met with medical professionals, courageous and dedicated women who provide critical health care and who see, like we all do, clinics across our country which have been closing and forced to close, leaving millions of women without access to essential, everyday, life-saving care. So, in conclusion, I'll just say this. There is so much at stake in this moment. And we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of liberty, freedom, and rule of law, or a country of disorder, fear, and hate? Each of us has the power to answer that question. With our feet, with our voice, and with our vote. So let us continue to fight for our freedoms. And as we know from our history, when we fight, we win. There we are.